We're doing a study from the book of Jude, which we call Relational Leadership. I really believe this is the style of leadership that Jesus modeled. And I see today in the church world a lot of, particularly the younger pastors, that's being influenced with what they call the CEO model, a secular model, and I do not believe that is really the biblical example. And so we're looking at what we call relational leadership. In the book of Jude, verse 12 and verse 13, there's 5 different word pictures of bad leaders. And many times the best way to know what something ought to be is to find out what it is not. And in verse 13, he gives us the 4th of these 5 pictures. He says, they are raging waves of the sea, foaming up their own shame. That's a very graphic picture of a troubled sea, a sea during time of storm. And so this lesson I'm calling Influencing Through Relationships. There's a good verse of scripture in the book of Proverbs where he warns us, do not forsake your friend, nor your father's friend. Now, obviously, the connection is with friendship. You've got to go through a lot of people to find a few good ones, those that will stick with you through thick or thin the rest of your life. But why would he say, don't forsake your father's friend? Because anyone that genuinely loves your father will love you. And you're just not going to find that many people that you can build strong relationships with that's going to be with you the rest of your life. Many of them are going to be like these raging waves of the sea foaming up their own shame. See, leadership is about a relationship of power to serve others, to equip others, to help the people that are around you. Now, the opposite's true with the self-serving leader. The self-serving leader, he makes a big splash, but he's not really going anywhere. We've all seen that, haven't we? Self-serving leaders, they make a lot of noise, but they leave nothing of value behind. Now, that's bad leadership. Good leadership invests in the people that are around them and makes the world in which they live a better place to live. See, that's what good leadership is about. It's a power that's attached to a good purpose. Power that's not attached to a good purpose, of course, becomes very dangerous. And it's been my observation that some of the most dangerous people that you will ever meet are people that love power. It's people that have the purpose, and they realize power is simply there to enable us to be able to accomplish things, to be able to make our world a better place to live. Now, we have used the example of Paul and Philemon. You find the story primarily in the book of Philemon, where Paul is dealing with a very dear friend of his. Philemon is considered to be the father of the church at Colossae. We believe his name was Archippus, but Philemon evidently was the wealthy landowner that, he had the money to be able to help support the church. And he ran into a very sticky problem. The problem was this. He had a slave by the name of Onesimus, a man that owed him a debt, so he's working to pay off this debt. But instead of Onesimus being faithful and doing what he should do, he evidently stole money from Philemon and then ran away to Rome, which was 1,000 miles to the west. And there he met the Apostle Paul when he was arrested and put in jail. Paul was able to win him to Jesus Christ. But now that Onesimus has become a Christian, he wants to go back to Colossae and make things right with his former master, Philemon. That's a very sticky problem, particularly according to the laws that they had in that day. And so I want to show you something that Paul does. It's what I'm going to call here Tychicus, the relational leader. And we're going to go back to the book of Colossians to see this. In Colossians, the 4th chapter, let me begin reading from verse 7. where he says, Tychicus, a beloved brother, faithful minister, and fellow servant in the Lord, will tell you all the news about me. I am sending him to you for this very purpose, that he may know your circumstances and comfort your hearts. I'm sending him with Onesimus. Now note that. That is of great interest. I'm sending him with Onesimus, a faithful and beloved brother who is one of you. They will make known to you all the things that are happening here. Now, I find in this situation the wisdom that God gives to Paul to be able to deal with the most difficult problem that the Roman Empire had, slavery. 1 out of every 2 people in the Roman Empire is said to be slaves. Now, in dealing with this problem, the first thing that I note is Paul did not send Onesimus back home alone. He sent him with a friend. He sent him with Tychicus. He describes this man that we don't find anyplace else. There's nothing written about him as far as his ministry and such, but obviously he was well known among the churches that Paul had helped to establish and was one of Paul's fellow laborers. He calls him a dear brother, a faithful minister, and a fellow servant. Well, those are high remarks, especially coming from the Apostle Paul. Now, this is what Paul did. Paul never attempted his ministry alone. I can remember years ago studying the life of Paul because he's one of my heroes. And next to Jesus Christ in the New Testament, I want to be like Paul because he accomplished so much. And I used to wonder, how did Paul get all of this done? And then one day I saw it. He never did anything alone. He was always working with and through other people. And now, dealing with this very difficult problem, the problem of slavery in the Roman Empire, and as I said, they had very strict laws. A runaway slave could be crucified for that. He could be branded like an animal. His debt could be doubled. I mean, there was very harsh penalties upon this. But Onesimus wants to make things right because he's become a Christian. That's a good sign, isn't it? By their fruits you will know them. And so it's obvious Onesimus has had an experience with Jesus Christ. Now, here's what Paul knows. He says Tychicus is a trusted communicator. He's going to tell you everything that's going on here, plus he's going to find out what's happening in your life so he can come back and give me a report what's going there. In other words, this man is an encourager of people. That's the kind of people that we need to surround ourselves with. And I truly believe that if Paul had not sent Tychicus with Onesimus back to Philemon, the results could have been totally different than what the outcome became in the Bible. That's wisdom. That's good leadership. So leadership, it's a relationship of dependency. In other words, the leaders are dependent on the people that follow them to accomplish their goals. You cannot do it alone. God warned us about that. It is not good for man to dwell alone. Why? Because one is too small a number to be of any great significance. You've got to learn to work with other people. That's what Paul does. And leaders must always understand this. There's a dependency that we have upon the people that are following us. It's well said, a leader is no better than the people who follow him. That is so true. The people that follow him, they're going to be either your success or your failure. They're either going to make you look real good or they can make you look very bad. And so we need to surround ourselves with the best people that we possibly can to accomplish what God has called us to do. Now, here's something that I want you to note. We cannot force people to do anything. What we must do, we must make them want to do it. There's a big difference there. And it's the reason I truly believe that spiritual leadership is the highest form of leadership that there is. Why? Because we don't have money to give people. For instance, you work for the employer, and that's the way he gets his employees to do what he wants them to do overtime, to do whatever he's asking is with the money. He controls them to it. We don't have the military. We don't have an army to march and a police force to enforce our rules. No. How are we going to get it done? Plus, not only does the spiritual leader have to accomplish his goal, let's say build a church, but the very people that are helping him build the church are the people that are coming up with the money in almost every case. So how can you get people to not only do the work, but also make the contribution? You've got to make them want to do it. Without that desire, the want to, you're going to accomplish very little as a spiritual leader. Let me talk about this. Let's talk about why would people volunteer? Why would they give of their time? What is it that causes them to go the extra mile, to give the money, to give the resources, whatever it is to accomplish the goal? Here's reasons. People volunteer to find self-fulfillment and growth. That is a good one, because they realize I'm a better person because I'm a part of this. I have had people tell me continually, because my great gift, of course, is teaching. And I've been studying the Bible all my life, and so I've learned a lot about the Bible. And I've had so many people come to me and say, I've learned so much from your teaching. That is what I'm doing. I'm contributing to their self-growth. And as they learn, they are growing so that they can practice their Christianity more successfully. They can be a better father, a better husband. They can be a better deacon or a better elder. They're able to fulfill their goals in their life because they're a part of something that's bigger than themselves. Here's another reason that people volunteer. They volunteer to promote a worthy cause. They believe in this cause. They believe this is something good. They believe this is going to make a difference in their community or in their family. And so they're willing to get involved because it's a worthy cause. They volunteer for those reasons. Another reason that people volunteer, they volunteer to be with their friends. You know, there's some people you just like to, as I say today, hang out with. People you enjoy being around them. They're just good company. They make you feel good about yourself, about life. You enjoy it. And I really believe this is one of the number one reasons why so many churches are not growing. The people that are attending don't act like they're happy to be there. And that is not good advertisement. No, you've got to enjoy life. And so when you're with your friends, you know, you like them, they like you. You can't even explain all the reasons for it, but that chemistry is there. And you just enjoy being with them. And people will volunteer to serve. They will take work and turn it into fun if they're with their friends. But I think probably the number one reason why spiritually that people volunteer, they volunteer because they believe they are serving God. I know that's certainly true in my life. I've said it so many times. I wouldn't work this hard for anybody but God. But because I believe this is eternal, I don't intend to get my rewards here. I intend to just get enough to help me fulfill the goal. I intend to get my reward when I stand before God. I believe with all of my heart there is a God, and one day every one of us are going to give an account. We're going to answer to Him. As someone has well said, your life is a gift from God. What you do with your life is your gift to God. And so this is one of the number one reasons that it motivates people. It's why churches are able to accomplish great things, is because people sincerely believe they are serving God. And by serving God, it gives fulfillment. As the one gentleman wrote the book, Turning Success into Significance. And there comes that point in your life where, it's not about the money anymore. You want to leave something of lasting value. So this reason of serving God becomes paramount in our minds and our thinking. I know it certainly is for me. Now, let me talk about another area. Let's talk about recruiting new volunteers. Now, every leader's got to be doing this. Every good leader is always looking for new volunteers. Always looking, and I don't even like the word volunteer that much because it sounds like, to me it kind of cheapens the word. But they're looking for people that want to plug in and serve. They want to be a part of this. Or as my pastor Vince says, they want to become a partner. They want a partnership. That's a good way of saying it. Because ministry is not just done from the platform, the pulpit. Ministry is accomplished from the pews. So every good leader is looking for these new recruits, new people that you can plug into the vision. Here's where it begins. Recruitment of the new volunteers begins with our vision. That's where it starts, with the vision. You're not just looking around to see what people can do. No, that's part of it. You need to know what their gifts and talents are. But it starts with recruiting people that are able to contribute to the vision, to accomplish what God has called you to do. See, it's about finding the best person to help contribute to the vision. If you have a totally different vision, then possibly you're not in the right house. If you're going a different direction, then you're not flowing with the group. So recruitment is about finding people that believe what you believe. They can see what you see, or at least a part of it, and they're in harmony with that. They want to be a part of that. So that's where recruitment begins. It's finding people that share the same heart, the same passion, the same vision. And it's always easier when you're trying to recruit new people, when you have happy people that are working with you, people that are contented, people that are at peace with themselves, people that are enjoying life. It's attractive. It's where the Bible talks about, it calls it joy. The joy of the Lord is our strength. With joy will you draw waters out of the wells of salvation. Happy people, in other words, people that are smiling, people that are enjoying life. I've said it so many times, this thing of frowning. They say it takes twice as many muscles to frown as it does to smile. Well, I could save a lot of people a lot of energy, Just smile, relax, give your face a rest. Now, let me talk about another area here on recruiting new people. One of the first things that we need to do is clarify the expectations that we have with what we call job descriptions. Now, I know I've talked to leaders, we don't use job descriptions. Well, I'm a firm believer in job descriptions because job descriptions basically give me the perimeters, and that's what I like. Where's the left ditch and the right ditch on this road so I can stay out of the ditches and keep moving forward? And so that's all that a job description is. And with job description, basically, you have the job title, the date that you're going to begin, the department that you're going to be working with, the supervisor, the duties and authority that you will be responsible with, the skills and the time that is required, and then the training required and that is provided. Basically, when I am looking at a new job, doing something different, there's three questions I want. Number one, what is it you want me to do? What is the description of this? Number two, to whom am I accountable? I want to know. Everybody can't be my boss. Tell me somebody that I'm responsible to give an account to them. And then number three, how long do you want me to do this? What's the tenure of this? Is this, 1 year, or is it a lifetime? Give me the boundaries. And those are the three primary questions that I have. Now talking about this last statement that I made on the job description, the training that is required and provided. One of the sad things that I've noticed with too many churches is they do not provide training for whatever they're doing. If, for instance, teaching children, there needs to be some kind of teacher training. If you're working with youth, there needs to be some kind of youth training. There always has to be, because you've got to be focused on helping your workers grow. And if you can help them grow, then they will do a better job of helping the people that they're ministering to. If it be children, if it's youth, whoever it is, if it's men, every group is the same. It works the same. And so we must be prepared to invest in them to help them to do a better job. Because leaders are responsible for the success of their followers. Now, that's one of the most important statements that I've made in this lesson. Let me repeat it. Leaders are responsible for the success of their followers. Boy, that's one of the reasons I pray a lot, because I know I'm going to give an account to God one day for the people that are following me. And have I helped them to grow? Have I helped them reach their potential? Have I helped them to fulfill their dreams that God gave them? Now, one of the ways that we do this is through what we call evaluation. And don't let that word scare you or frighten you. Everything with value must be evaluated. We are responsible to evaluate the growth of our followers. It's a part of the process. Now, here's the sticky part. Good evaluation is dependent upon a good relationship between the leader and the follower. If they've got a good relationship, then the evaluation is not a threatening thing at all. If they don't have a good relationship, then immediately the follower begins to back off, and they think of this, as it's going to be a time when you're just going to try to squeeze more out of me. And they're going to be threatened by the whole process. Don't think of it that way. And this is where a leader needs to build that kind of relationship with the followers so that they trust them and realize this is for my good. This is for our good. This is going to improve our church. We're going to accomplish our goal and our vision. See, these, what they call performance reviews, they provide opportunity not to criticize someone, but to help them to develop in their own growth process, to help them keep growing. All that evaluation says is, it says, you are an important member of this team. That's why every team has got a coach. You look at the Olympics, and you'll never see one of these Olympians winning a gold medal that doesn't have a coach standing behind them. Because none of us are going to be as good as we could be if we had somebody to help us be better, do a better job. So all evaluation says is, you're an important member of our team. A lack of evaluation shows a lack of value. Let me prove it with one question. Why do we count our money? And all of us do. We count our money because money has value. And that's the reason that we count people. That's the reason that we do evaluations for, and I do this with everything that I do. When I go and I do a leadership seminar, if I do a conference, one of the first things I do when it is over is do an evaluation of that. And I ask myself some questions. What's the best thing that happened here? What's the worst thing that happened? What could we have done that would have made a difference? And that has kept me growing throughout my spiritual life. See, relational leaders, they really care about their people. They're not just talking it, but they're walking the walk. They genuinely care about their people, and they take the responsibility to help their followers grow. Now, here's a common mistake that I have seen made by a lot of good leaders. Good leaders. I'm not talking about the bad leaders now, the ones that are the sea, this stormy sea that's foaming up their own shame. I'm talking about good leaders. But one of the problems that good leaders make is They find the right person, and they give them the right training, and they put them in the right place, and then they release them to fulfill their ministry, and then they leave them in that spot too long. Why? Because they're doing a good job. That's why. They're doing a good job. But here's the weakness to that. If you leave them in that place too long, they stop growing. You've got to provide other opportunities for them, to keep them stimulated, to keep them growing. Without that, ultimately, they will never be able to reach their potential. We've got to understand, if we help them to develop their skills, if we help them to be able to do a better job, then we're going to keep them growing throughout their spiritual life. And we're actually training them for better positions, that they're going to grow to levels that they never even thought would be possible, because they're on a process or a track of spiritual growth. It's when our people grow that our churches grow. And churches that have discovered this, and people that, their spiritual journey is taking them somewhere, they're excited about it because they realize, I'm becoming a better Christian. I know more about my Bible now. I'm a better leader. I'm able to do things I couldn't do before. That excites people, that motivates them, and that becomes the overall influence of the church. That's why I believe we should influence through relationships, good relationships. That's what Jesus has done for us. May God help us to do that for others. May God bless you in your spiritual journey, and may you continue to grow and to reach all your potential in Jesus Christ. God bless you.